Okay, I'm gonna turn it over.
The tech center's not.
I don't know yet what they're doing. They might watch the video.
Okay, because I don't have to necessarily.
Specifically with the Western Center instructions and what they're connecting.
Okay,
And her ads.
All right.
They're helping with it, so. And there's your PowerPoint share screen is on. Now I won't run up in the middle of the streaming and interrupt that.
and I have no idea if this is actually gonna work, not to sound like I don't know what I'm doing, but every room talks a little different. Hello, welcome everybody, and here we're back here talking about assessment again, which is our theme for the whole year. I found this, and I really felt like it was so true, and that's part of what we're doing as we work together to create benchmark assignments, come to agreement on a lot of things. You know, without each other, and it's true, our growth is limited. We just have our own perspectives, so here we are, doing our thing. And that's why it's so important for us to collaborate with one another. I'm more at home doing that, so. Okay.
Okay. First off, one of the things we wanted to start with was to go back over our definition of assessment. This came about through a number of different committees, but assessment is the ongoing systematic collection and analysis of data that is used to document the state of student learning relative to faculty-defined learning outcomes and expected educational achievements, and which informs decisions that lead to the improvement of teaching, learning, and student success.
Our shared values. We know you've had these, but we just kind of like to review them. We identify the following shared values with regards to the importance of assessment. We believe that assessment is everyone's responsibility and provides the opportunity to self-assess and make improvements. That it guides the discovery of how well students are learning and how learning might be further enhanced as an integral part of the educational process. Provides accountability to students, parents, taxpayers, and business and industry to attain and maintain high-quality standards. And for anybody who's in tech ed, we had all of our advisory committees last night where we answer to our industries for tech ed programs.
Other things in regards to our shared values informs short and long-term decisions to improve instruction and aligns with ACC's strategic plan and budget. Takes place at the course competency, program, and institutional level, and encourages the consideration of meaningful, measurable data that can fit everyone regardless of location, modality, general education, or career and technical. Also includes a combination of external benchmarking with similar institutions, internal comparisons of progress towards our target, and compliance with requirements from outside entities.
We start with who's in the trenches, and this is a faculty-defined process. We have the assessment peer core, and most everybody knows who's on the assessment peer core, I think. If not, I think, is that on the intranet?
Yes, and it's been emailed out to each person who their APC number is.
Okay, on their individual timeline. Okay, great. Academic standards, I chair that committee. And our focus is on course level assessment. We have instructional council, where it is program or gen ed level assessment. The assessment committee, which is indirect assessment measures, and also the institutional level, so the SPEs are that committee. Curriculum and instruction, and that's the curriculum instruction oversight. So we have clean stuff that we actually are doing our projects on. And then new for this academic year is a technical instructional council, because there really are differences and between our tech ed and our gen ed in terms of programs. We answer to different entities sometimes.
Okay, so then in regards to the three levels of assessment, and this is where it can get kind of confusing because we have three levels going on at the same time. We have our course level assessment. What's being measured at the course level assessment field there is our course competencies, okay? And we're focusing a lot on, sometimes these course competencies are kind of come down through us through TAC and the KCOG meetings, which we just had last Friday. For classes that aren't part of the system-wide transfer, we kind of set our own course competencies. But these can all be found on the first day handouts, on the syllabi, and that's what's measured at that course level. And as you remember from the last slide, that's the Academic Standards Committee that is going to oversee that process, the course level process. We also assess at the program and general education division level. This is the level of assessment dealing with our divisions, dealing with our programs. When we have program goals, general education division goals, that level is going to be overseen by instructional council. That's the committee here on campus that kind of oversees that level of assessment. And then we also assess at the institutional level. The institutional level deals with our shared performance expectations. Those are, think of those as our institutional goals. And that process is overseen by the assessment committee. So 3 different levels that assessments are taking place in, and the different oversight committees that review that process.
We're really, to get ready for course mapping, now we're fine to it. All right. You have to designate the lead instructor of a course. So there may be several of you that teach English Comp 1. I'll pick on Mary Bryan, because I'm picking on her quite a bit, yeah. Anyway, but I'll pick on you English faculty. But, or written in oral communications division. But there's several. You need to designate the lead instructor. And that doesn't mean that everybody doesn't have input in the process. It's just that person's going to be the lead. One-stop shopping. If we have part-time faculty members, adjunct faculty members, and they have a question about English Comp 1, the MCO, they're going to call them, or I don't know, who is it, English Comp 1? That's terrible. I can identify the English faculty, but okay. So whoever is designated as the lead instructor, then voila, that's the person that is going to be the point of contact if there's any questions about it. So in your own divisions, you need to decide who to designate a lead instructor. And then in preparation for this, and we're still in the process, and we know that, of cleaning up syllabi and all of that, but to prepare, you need your personalized assessment timeline, which is now on the intranet. Do any of you surf the intranet as much as I do? Apparently not. You just have to understand if you're not on this campus. Like today when I saw Erin, I'm like this talking to her, but if not, I look on the intranet for this. But your personalized assessment timeline is now on there. Look on the intranet, go to faculty, resources, and templates, and then just scroll down. You'll be pleasantly surprised everything that's there. You need a copy of your cleaned up syllabi, meaning any changes that had to go through C&I, as we're all this whole fall looking at those things in our different divisions or programs, we need to clean them up, and you need your clean copy. The one everybody agrees, this is what we're going to operate off of. This is the one that, if it needs changes, goes through C&I. If not, it's been approved as clean. And it has to be on the latest template too. Then you need a copy of your program or Gen Ed Division learning goals. And for those of us in Tech Ed programs, we have program goals. Gen Ed folks have Gen Ed Division goals. And I really got to learn to say that once I do the program, but that's because that's my mindset, that's all. And then a copy of the shared performance expectations, or the SPEs. Now, right now, they are under, I do this because I have to visualize they're under institutional overview, which I just discovered they're not on our faculty resources thing. But the assessment committee has done a really, really good job, led by Pamela and Jeff, of taking those SPEs and then giving us examples of different things to kind of help us with that, which I really appreciate. and then the MCO template. And these are the things that you need to have ready or prepare to kind of do the MCO and do the course mapping, because it's within the MCO, which is a master course outline. I'm not sure if, we talk in acronyms, but the MCO is a master course outline. In order to do that, in the MCO is the actual course map. Right in it, it's in the template. When you look at the template, you'll see, boom, course map. And the really nice part is, on that MCO template, Erin's going to provide those to us, where she will fill in all the top part, meaning department, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. We only have to really do from the course map on down, which, if you're looking at that to me, that's the hard part, all the copy paste, because I'm terrible at it. So, this is what you're going to need to really prepare to do your MCO.
Okay, just to review, these here are the SPEs, the shared performance expectations. These are the competencies at the institutional level. And you'll see these posted really all over campus. There's one on the back wall here. I know Dr. Hurd has them on his door as well. Again, these have been sort of added to as far as examples that kind of fit into there. And we'll see those kind of floating around more and more as the semester goes through. But the actual SPEs have remained the same. But we are providing some, or assessment committee is providing some examples to kind of help you show how they fit. They include be competent at your work, which means knowing your area of work or study, consistently perform to expectations, use constructive feedback to improve. My personal opinion is everything that we do as faculty is going to fall under SPE number 1. And I'll talk about that more when we get into the mapping, but to me that's kind of almost kind of a given. Communicate effectively, certainly that will come into play when we look at some different program and gen ed division goals as well as certain course goals. It's demonstrating the ability to create and understand messages in written, oral, or visual form. Third one is respect others. Show respect for other people in your environment. Be open to perspectives different from your own. Treat people and the environment with courtesy. And again, as I'm going through here, just kind of think about your individual course competencies and if any of those align with these, and your program or gen ed division goals. And what I found as I kind of look over the different course competencies is some of these just kind of naturally fall into some of these broader categories. Make good decisions, apply critical thinking processes, examine assumptions, gather relevant and reliable data and information, make decisions based on evidence. I know in, especially like my intro to psychology class and some of the human growth and development chapters deal specifically with data. So already I'm kind of thinking, okay, that falls in under that SPE. Act responsibly within your role at HCC, meet your commitments, and be accountable for your own behavior and performance, and work effectively on teams. Contribute productively as a leader or a member of a team. So again, you will start seeing probably later on this semester some more specific examples, but these are our set SPEs, and I believe they've been set since 2014. So this is the institutional level of assessment. These are the goals that the institution needs to be meeting.
Okay, really for course level mapping, to me it just makes sense. For each competency listed in the syllabus, this cleaned up syllabus that you have, you're going to list the learning activity, and that is how the student is going to learn how to do the competency. So it might be read chapter 5, watch this video clip, attend a performance outside of class, whatever it is. You know, that's really how they are going to learn it. How do they learn it? Then the assignment, that is how the students are going to show that they've learned how to do it. How they demonstrate that, how you assess it. Okay. That's what assessment is. How does a student let you know that they have learned what you think or not, what you think, because sometimes they don't learn it, but whether they've learned it or not. If they fail the test, it's obvious that they didn't learn it or didn't study it. If they got an A on the test, it's obvious that they learned it. And then the very last category is that aligned program or gen ed division goal, or the SPEs. And that's just how this competency that you listed aligns with the SPEs or the program goal. It's, okay, so we want to show the MCO template. I have to, wait a minute, I need to minimize that to share screen. I don't know how to share screen from
It's
here.
already shared. It's just whatever's up on your desktop.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Well, that's a whole lot easier than sitting at a computer and doing this. Okay. Just so you know, I sat and did one.
I
All right.
can scroll for you.
Okay. So this is what the MCO looks like. This is what's on the intranet. It says MCO template. It's under faculty resources and template. Erin's going to send them to us with this top part. The department, course description, competencies, course content. Okay, all of that, she's going to send it to us. She's doing one of her fancy things, and we'll all get those. Then you come to the course map. And in this course map, there you go. All right. Oh, this happens to be mine, so we're just going to go with it. All right. I started one, and this would be a program, early childhood program, which I told Erin, for me it was like a brain dump, kind of, just to get it all into writing. I think I put a little too much in some of the boxes, apparently.
Don't be alarmed by Eleanor's example.
Okay,
She's
because
very specific.
I was getting everything in my head out, okay, just so you know. But, to paraphrase and document the process for reporting suspected child abuse and neglect and head trauma in Kansas, that's one of my competencies. This is how they're going to learn how to do that. Some of that's required by our industry. You have to watch some, the industry requires that you actually watch certain videos and do certain things. So that's how they're going to learn how to do it. And then, how are you going to know that they learned how to do it? And so I have them do a 3 to 5 minute presentation on shaken baby syndrome, that's the head part. Write a 1 to 2 page paper on recognizing child abuse, neglect, and head trauma. And then also write a 1 to 2 page paper on reporting it, because now that they're mandated reporters, they could be fined if they don't. And then they put their papers in their CDA notebook. And yes, it is a little extensive, and I will slim it down, I promise. My program goals. And what I'm going to do is just show you what my program goals look like. All right. So my program goals, and that meant 1 and 2. Acquire an understanding of young children's development and learning in order to create environments that are safe and healthy. So, recognizing abuse and neglect is obviously, that's a safety issue, and it's also a health issue. So, that particular competency, those assignments, matches that program goal, as well as this one. Identify and conduct themselves as members of the profession following ethical guidelines and other professional standards related to early childhood. That, for us, in early childhood, is Kansas Department of Health and Environment. That's who licenses us. So we answer, and I'm going to say the tech ed programs, that is one thing that we got to answer the industry standards. So maybe it's a little easier for us. I'm not going to say that, but they tell us, here's what they need to know. And we say, okay, we'll teach it to them. And we have ethical guidelines and we have professional standards. So that's how that maps to 1 and 2. With your Gen Ed division goals, and I'm going to pull up the blank MCO. Yeah, I started this like, Erin was like, oh my God. I put a little too much in there. But I'm the only one that teaches the class. It's a little bit different because I'm the only one that teaches it. So I kept thinking, if I'm the lead instructor and I need to make sure that every bit of this is on paper, I will run these past my part-time faculty, even though they don't teach the class, because I want to make sure that I'm actually making sense to someone who doesn't teach the course.
And real quick, just to make sure everybody watching this or watching the video, all I've done here is logged into the MyHCC account, got to the main page, and when we say the intranet, you can just access that through this one click here where it says .hcc intranet. And the area we're talking about is under faculty templates and resources. This is going to have all that stuff that we mentioned earlier.
Keep
Let me
going.
get
It's all the way
to it
fun.
here. PDCA stuff's up there also. Full-time faculty personalized assessment timelines. If you misplace your timeline, like I have once or twice, you can always call another one up here to help you kind of plan your planning and mapping year. We have some assessment videos that have been placed on here. What we're talking about is a master course outline template. So that form that we just saw that Eleanor already had kind of filled out, when you first look at it, she was talking about how Dr. Shaw, which she sends out, is going to have this top part filled out. That will be this area here: department, course description, course competencies, course content, and then here is that course map that Eleanor was talking about.
In mine, okay, so I'm going to just give an example for a Gen Ed division goal. Actually, I'm going to pick on Mary. Brian. Hello, Mary. Okay, so aside from, can you hear me, Mary? Give me a thumbs up if you can. Good. All right, excellent. I know, we can't hear you real
You're
well.
gonna have to yell.
Well, my guess is your volume's down. She has 6 children, okay? Just telling you. She already told me she had people. So.
No, we won't be able to hear.
Nah, we can't hear you.
Can't pick on it.
It's all right. I know. Anyway, all right, so I won't pick on it. What we're going to do this with every course and every course competency. But when it comes time for the benchmark assignment, okay, which is something, this is the course level benchmark assignment. That assignment has to be done the same way, choosing, everything about that has to be delivered identically across every modality. Just the benchmark assignment, not all assignments, just the benchmark, that absolutely positively has to be delivered the same. So when Mary, with the written and oral communication, Gen Ed, division goal, I'm trying to figure out the volume. When we were talking about it, and actually there's enough of you English, so, you know, how to source, is that what it is? Okay, should help me out here. I'm not an English person. Citing sources. Okay, so they all agreed in the written and oral communication, one of their Gen Ed division goals is about citing sources. So whether you're teaching English or whether you're teaching speech, on campus, off campus, okay, they're coming up with a benchmark assignment that's going to be the same. But they may teach that. Let's say Pamela decides she's going to introduce that in Fundamentals of English, and Teresa decides she's going to teach it in Public Speaking 101, and Stacy's going to teach it in American Literature. I don't even know if those are what you teach. Okay, but anyway, I don't know. Is it close enough? Thank you.
English one is good.
Mary was supposed to be on call for this. Okay. Anyway, it's fine. I know she feels bad too, because yeah, we kind of staged it, but it didn't work, Mary. So they are going to, as a Gen Ed division, agree on that benchmark assignment. Okay, and it will be listed somewhere with the competency.
It just says No, the benchmark will just be checked for yes for that course.
Okay.
That it's being applied in.
All right,
Yeah.
so if it's a course level benchmark assignment, then,
There's-
but that is the only thing that has to be absolutely identical across every modality. You must do it, you must do it, you must do it this way. You all have to use the same rubric. Everything about that has to be identical. But,
Hey, Eleanor?
yes,
Can you hear me now?
yes, I can.
Is
Oh,
my
great.
earphone- I can hear somebody, some helpful person was mumbling, it might be my earphone, so thank you, whoever that was.
I don't know. Wasn't me, sorry.
No, I can hear some-
Oh, Carol, was it Carol? Was that you, Carol? No, oh, you gave her a thumbs up. I thought, well, maybe it was Carol. All right. Well, now I've completely ruined this, what we were gonna do, so I'm not sure it really, but I'm glad you fixed it. All right. So, for every single course, you're gonna do this. And if you scroll down, one of the things, there we go. All right. We now have a lot of specific assignments listed that you can select from. So, I'm gonna just keep doing the English thing because that's where I'm at. All right, so we have English Comp 101. And multiple people teach that. How do they teach it? Now, it could be that, and so the assessment is going to be a written assignment. That's the assessment. One teacher might say that's a paper. One teacher might say that's actually a poster. One teacher might say, well, they're going to have to do this. They're all written assignments, maybe a case study. So you're not going to list 10 different ways, please, that you can assess it. There really probably shouldn't be more than 3 different ways to assess it. 4 maybe max. But think about what I love about this is how it triggers a thought process, you know, like, oh, didn't think about that. Oh, that would be a good way to assess that. So those are your assignment options to pick from. So folks from Gen Ed Division, you're going to do your Comp 101, designate your lead instructor. You're going to decide on the competencies, what you're going to do, like they have to read the textbook, they have to do this, and then how you're going to assess it. Then you can tie it to your program, your Gen Ed Division goals, such as, in the English department, properly citing sources is I'm paraphrasing that, obviously I'm not saying that good. But that's how you do the course map. And that benchmark assignment has to be identical. And yeah, you're going to discuss with other faculty members what is an appropriate assessment. So you're not just going to, well, I'm the lead instructor and I get to, you know, it's not like that. You're going to collaborate, you're going to work with each other. You're going to say, well, that doesn't make sense to me, and discuss it and everything. And I would guess that it's not going to be that hard for folks to come to agreement on maybe 2 or 3 assessments. Yes?
Should we be sending our MCOs out to our adjuncts too?
Yeah,
Um,
I think after they're drafted by you guys, the lead instructor
So
will
they
have
can
the
have
list of
input on
adjuncts.
it.
Uh-huh.
Okay, in case you guys didn't, the question was, should we involve the adjuncts in this process? And what Aaron said was after the lead instructor gets it finished, yes, it will probably go out at that point. And there may or may not be changes made to it. Because really, as the lead instructor, you're going to have met with your colleagues here on campus or at the tech center, you know, wherever they're at. So I would think that it'd be fairly, I don't think it's that hard, but then, like I said, I'm the only one that teaches some of my courses, so this looks a lot different for me. Okay. I gave my ticket. Oh, now we're gonna show how, yes, all right.
Okay, real quick, before I call this up, I just want to clarify also, so what would this look like for me doing it for psychology? I would get on the intranet, access the MCO template, and I would do one of these for general psychology, I do one of these for child development, I do one of these for human growth and development. For every competency for each class, I do one for each class, I'd list all my competencies over in the corner. I would write how I'm going to teach the student how to do that, whether that's read a textbook or watch a video or class lecture. Then I would list how that they're going to show me that they've learned it. And then the real mapping portion here is I would take our list of social and behavioral sciences, general education division goals, and I'd look at, say, general psych competency number 1. Does that match up with one of my social and behavioral sciences general education division goals? And then I'd list that here. I would also list any SPEs that competency lines up with. And again, in my opinion, all of them, if it's academic, match up to be competent at your work, number 1. But there may be some other SPEs that a competency also aligns to. So that's what goes in this far column. And I would do one of these then for each one of the courses that I name. Now, that's a little bit different than the benchmark assignment, which is what I want to talk about next. The course level benchmark assignment is done for only one course competency and one program or general education division goal. So if I was going to do general psychology, and real quick, this is just an example. I haven't showed this to the social and behavioral sciences people, but after talking with some of them, what I kind of heard was just tell me what to do. Just let me know, show me a concrete example of what to do. So when I wrote this up, it actually wasn't for this presentation. It was to send out to the social and behavioral sciences. And my directions were going to be over email. We all need to agree on the stuff in red, and then change the stuff in blue to match our courses. So just keep that in mind as we're looking at this. So this is an example. It's not set in stone. It hasn't been agreed upon or anything. But this is, if you scroll up real quick, this is the Social and Behavioral Sciences General Education Division / Course Competency Benchmark Assignment. So what I've done with this is I've picked one course competency for General Psych, and I picked one goal from my Social and Behavioral Sciences division. And that's one that we as a division all agreed upon. And at our last meeting, we came up with 4 Social and Behavioral Science division goals, and we agreed on number 2 was the one we wanted to measure. So number 2 is summarize aspects of the history and structure of the student's field of study. So what that means is we've kind of set this up where we're double dipping a little bit. Our plan is to give a pre-test, post-test. The pre-test, post-test will go out in all of the social and behavioral sciences division classes. The first 4 questions on our pre-test, post-test is our program assessment. Okay, so all programs are let me get my phrasing right. Okay, all classes in the social and behavioral sciences division, whether it's general psychology, intro to sociology, intro to political science, is going to have some question that measures summarizing the aspects of the history and structure of the student's field of study. And for example, and these are the ones that we have to agree on as a division, we've decided the first question is going to require a student to match a historical individual in the field with the movement, philosophy, perspective they're most associated with. And then I just came up with this one for psychology. But if it's intro to sociology, Kristen would have something like which individual listed below is associated with communism. Or, I'm not a sociologist, that's my guess. And it would be the same type of question, right? We're matching an individual, a historical individual with their perspective or field or so forth. So that is going to be...
And the blue, what I loved about his, okay, he shared this with Aaron and I was like, oh, please, sure, okay. Really, each of us that are in, because I'm like 1 foot in their division 2, just the way it works. And so, I will change what's in blue for my
So
introduction.
political science would write their own question.
That
would be mine, where a historical individual in the field needs to be matched with their movement. Then we go on to question 2. I'm still measuring the exact same program goal, okay? Summarize aspects of the history and structure of the student's field of study. This question, though, is going to ask students to identify a significant historical development in their field. So I'll have one for my Gen Psych classes, and every Gen Psych class will have that as question number 2. Whether it's out in the region, whether it's online, whether it's concurrent, whether it's here on campus.
That's what the
Mike, in this
benchmark,
case,
that's
though,
right,
will phrase,
benchmark.
Mike, in this case, he'll phrase his differently. He'll have an intro to political science question here that still does the exact same thing. It requires a student to identify a single historical development in the field. We go on to question 3. And this is just an example of how we're doing it. I just want to show an example of how to do this. Question 3, still the same general education division outcome, history and structure of the field, and we have a different subsection of that the question is going to ask. That can be tailored to sociology, political science, economics, whatever. When we get through with question 4, all 4 of those, that is going to be our program or gen education division level benchmark assignment. That measures our program. So every class that is a social and behavioral sciences class will do a pre-test of this. And then also at the end of last day of class, they'll do the same test again. Depending upon the class, and we'll have pre-test, post-test data. The way we're kind of double dipping is it's one assessment instrument. Because once we get to question number 5, now I'm just measuring my course competencies. Okay, these will be different for every course. Now I'm not doing social and behavioral sciences goal number, what did we say, 2. Now it's just general psych competency 4. So my last 6 questions are unique to general psychology. Mike's last 6 questions will be unique to political science. Kristen's last 6 questions will be unique to sociology. And everybody in those classes, regardless of where they take the classes, will have the exact same questions. So we're almost kind of feels like cheating, but we're really kind of double dipping. We have one assessment that we're giving. It is going to be a pre-test, post-test, but we're knocking out both our program gen ed level assessment and our course level assessments all at once. To the students, it looks like it's one quick 10-question pre-test, one quick 10-question quiz at the end of the year. So it doesn't eat up a lot of time. It's kind of quick and easy, and it doesn't eat up a lot of my planning time. It doesn't eat up a lot of the students' time. And this is, again, we haven't actually discuss this in social and behavioral sciences. This is just kind of an example that I'm going to show to them and see if they approve it. But it's one way where you can knock some of these benchmark assignments out.
What I like is that, for me, this was easier to understand. I'm looking at Mike because we're in the social and behavioral sciences. Does it make sense to you that you'll change the blue for your content?
Yeah.
Yeah. But the rest of it, I mean, that's what, to me, I liked about this as a really good example. It's how to do it efficiently. I think it's a very efficient way to do this. And that is to identify the, yeah.
I have a question. Obviously, in the beginning, in the pre-test stage, we're going to have a lot more students taking the pre-test than the post-test. So how are you going to jive that?
Well, we can use the student ID.
Did you guys hear that on the?
Oh, the question was, you'll have a lot
You
more
can hear it,
students.
okay, got it.
Yeah, you'll have a lot more students taking the pre-test than you will the post-test, probably because of withdrawing from the class. It's kind of what I'm thinking, right? Yeah. So we already have an identifying number, and which is the student ID, right? At least on campus. I don't know if concurrent students, that might be a whole other problem to address.
Everybody has ID.
Everybody has
Student
student
ID
ID.
is the ones that complete both.
Right, what my plan is eventually, and this is probably a little too, what I'd like to do is I'd like to compare actual student scores to their own pretest scores with it's called a single-tailed paired samples t-test, but that's getting way too complicated. But basically you would only be using the people who completed both. Okay, so if you have somebody who did a pre-test but left the class before they did the post-test, then that's dirty data. We would throw that out. And again, you can do that fairly simple with a spreadsheet, making sure they match up. That's kind of one of those technical questions, but yeah, I thought about that, but we can match that up and get our statistics. And then basically the ultimate goal is we want to be able to say that, okay, for our general education division goals, on the first day of class, here's where they were in regards to history and structure of the field. On the last day of class, now here's where they are on history and structure of the field. And we want to be able to do that with our course competency too, whichever one we decide to measure. But yeah, my idea was we'd match them up by their student ID number.
Can we get a copy of that?
Sure. And again, it's if anybody's in social and behavioral sciences, I know I haven't showed this to anybody yet, so it's not official, it's just here as an example of something you can do.
Would you be able to bring this example to Assessment Peer Corps early next month?
Sure.
Been looking for ideas to talk about. I'd like to talk about this exact example. And does everybody on the Corps understand it? And can we talk with folks about it and go at it from that perspective?
And one other, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, so for those of us who won't have, this, we don't, do a lot of multiple choice and it's more written, do you think it would work if we, and I'm thinking about what we talked about earlier,
Right.
if you have a paper and we're assessing citation, we don't need the grade for the whole paper. We just need to target that part of the paper, the citation part. So could we write a very general assignment, like a 5-paragraph essay with resources and a works cited page to be assigned the last fourth of the semester? Would that be enough of an assignment? Because then it wouldn't matter what course it was used in.
I think what it really comes down to is what your division kind of agrees on. As what's being
But would that work?
I believe so. One of the things I was pointing out is I want to make sure some people might be looking at that and saying, well, that's great if you can use a Scantron, right? If you can have multiple choice tests. You can code a rubric into that just as easily. With A being your 4 points, B being your 3 points, C. Get a student worker to help you code them if you have a lot of things like that. Because my plan is eventually to run through all this data through the Scantron machine, which puts it in an Excel spreadsheet. So literally, the time needed to do the assessment grading is very, very minimal if you plan it right in this stage right now. So I think what you're getting at is if you have an assignment, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm trying to remember our conversation from earlier, but if you're in the oral and written communication general education division and you've decided to measure citation of sources, the project that goes out, again, we're mainly looking at this for assessment of the competencies. Are we getting at the point where it may be graded, may be for grade, may not be for grade? Is that kind of the question?
Well, what am I asking? Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is if we wanted to streamline this and create an assignment that would work on course level and division level, if we could sort of have a very generic assignment, and then we would pull out of that we would rubric about, have they cited things properly, and then we wouldn't have to keep reinventing the wheel. And on the course mapping, where we would check, oh, we have an assignment, it's a sort of generic assignment. So like if Stacy wanted to do an argument paper, the last paper, that'd be fine. If I wanted to do cause and effect, that would be fine. If we both would have 2 or 3 sources and a bibliography or whatever.
And those are the things that you're measuring from your program level goal?
Yes, it's our program goal, yes.
I believe that would be fine.
Your gen ed goal.
Your gen ed, yes, sorry.
We have to remind you.
General education division goal,
Gen
yes.
ed division goals, program goals really are more related to.
I don't think the assignment per se is going to matter. It's the goal that we all want the same. Is that correct? Because I have a
You want to
feeling
make sure you're
students,
measuring.
I'm not going to have them write a paper.
Right, I guess what the question is, does the paper topic have to be exactly the same, or does the
No.
speech topic have to be exactly the
But
same?
they all have to use proper documentation, which is
Right.
the,
The learning goal that
Right.
you're measuring.
Right, they all have to measure the agreed upon learning goal that
Right.
you as a gen ed division
Right.
decided upon.
right.
So for some, it may be a paper, for some, it may be a speech, for
Correct.
some, it may be a, I don't know, a debate, I don't know. But yeah, it could be a number of different things, as long as you're measuring the same thing. Because the goal is, we want to look across the general education division and be able to compare apples to apples to apples to apples.
Exactly.
And if you can come up with something where you can double, because this is double dip, this is one assignment that's doing the course and the program, and then it's done, that could be done in other divisions too.
Yeah.
With planning, and that's what this year's for. So that's kind of why we wanted to get this out now, is people are planning this. Don't make more work for yourself than you have to, I guess is my motto.
Well, and I'd say for the tech ed folks, and I think there's some in Baileyville, and Carrie, I see you there too. I know, and of course,
There's several you can't see on the screen too.
Okay, so, the thing I'd say about tech ed programs, it's pretty straightforward. It's a lot less complicated, I'm just being honest. Okay. It's a lot more straightforward. We're kind of, your program has gone through statewide alignment. You are being told what you're going to teach. You don't have, not a lot of options. Here's what you're going to teach, period, dot, the end. So we don't have a lot of the complication, I don't think. I'm glad I'm 1 foot in the social and behavioral gen ed division, because it helps me to understand how different they are. The technical MCO is going to look just, with the course map, it's going to look the same. It'll just be technical education programs. That's the only difference.
Does the MCO need to be changed every time the state decides to change the requirements?
That's a good question.
How often?
Stacy asked, every time the state or a course goes through KCOG or whatever, does the MCO have to change? And there's a real good chance it will.
How often does the state change, like for your program, how often does the state change what it's?
For tech ed programs, how often do they go through alignment?
5 to 10 years probably.
Yeah, every 5 to 10 years.
Some of them aren't aligned, but like
Yes,
early
like-
childhood and engineering graphics and business
I know,
technology
Carrie's,
aren't
Carrie's
aligned.
going, mine's not, it's true, business technology. And, you know, and mine is, early childhood has not been through program alignment. We all agree what we're gonna teach, but in terms of being real specific to us, the state doesn't, they think we're too complicated, that we're all over the board. So we work with them diligently, but all of our programs are a little bit different.
And the general education division outcomes, the shared transfer matrix that goes through KCOG. Once a course goes through that, it's reviewed every 5 years. So the changes to a course, unless it's requested that it come up earlier, those are only reviewed every 5 years. So if you went through KCOG last Friday, you won't have to do it again for 5 years for that course.
Any questions? And Carrie, I'm in Atchison, so I'm next door, so we work on ours together. Because I just think it was just slightly easier. I don't know why. It's probably because that's where my head goes. I'm not real sure.
I'm just gonna let Eleanor do all the work.
Okay, all right, that's what we'll do. But it really is, I know it, I just think it is a different cerebral process, let me just say that. I think that the gen ed division goes, it's slightly more cerebral, I would call it. And then our very last slide, which I'll have to, I forgot about that. It's just, you know, do you guys have anything you want to remember? But the big thing is that the clean syllabi and the MCOs are due to our vice president by April 30th. And that was on, you know, the calendar that we received an in-service has, it's quite a few years really, but all the dates are on there, which is really handy. I told Eric today, I have mine 3 whole bunch in a notebook. I go nowhere without it, just to make sure that I'm a real calendar kind of person. But anything else that you think we need to remember or you want to remember or questions?
I guess I'm gonna ask, what's the clean syllabi mean?
Oh,
I've
okay,
never been told that.
all right. It,
Do you want me to answer it? So for the syllabi that weren't on the new template, but are not going through CNI this year, or haven't gone through CNI in the past 2 years with the new template, then those files are being updated for you. So you'll just kind of magically get them on the tech end of things. And you guys don't have MCOs necessarily. It depends on the individual program for technical, whether there's an MCO, because it depends on whether there's common courses that are taught by more than one human. So if you go back to that personalized timeline that you were given it in service and it's on the intranet, like Eleanor said, that'll tell you if you have any MCOs to be working on, and I would be giving you the files for those MCOs. On the gen ed side, if you haven't met with me yet to go over syllabi, I think several of you that have more than one person in the group have been reviewing your syllabi and have met with me or have been sending me emails. But if you do still need to meet with me about the syllabi in your area, then feel free to schedule that and get on my calendar. And some of those, again, the MCOs I'll be able to give you from the syllabi without having any updates because they haven't changed. And then there's a few, like this morning when Mike and I met, he just went through KCOG for Western Civ 1 and 2. So obviously he's not going to work on the Western Civ 1 and 2 MCOs until the KCOG competencies are finalized in the spring. But he can go ahead and start working on U.S. government and U.S. history 1 and 2 now. So I can get those files to him.
Any other questions? One more thing I'd like to say before we're done is that it's kind of expected people will need some support with this. It's a pretty big change in regards to assessment. Realize we have all those different committees with all those different members. There's assessment committee, assessment peer corps, instructional council, academic standards. I know at least with instructional council, and I think one of the other ones has specifically assigned liaisons to be a contact person. This isn't something where it's like, okay, here's your assignment now, don't talk to us until you're done. That's not what we're wanting to do here. So as questions come up, please feel free to contact different members of the different committees if you have questions. And this really is one of those processes where we all have to collaborate. We're all kind of in this together, and we need to kind of help each other out with this. So just be aware that this isn't something where it's like, okay, here's your assignment. It's due April 30th, and we'll see you then. That's not really kind of the approach we want. Okay, we're all here to support one another. We all have questions. Earlier today, I was asking Eleanor questions about things I didn't get, and vice versa. And I think it's just kind of expected that this is a new thing. It's going to take some growing, I guess, as we get through it.
well, and everybody, your detailed timeline is on the intranet, and I believe the liaisons.
They are not posted yet, but I will post them. They've been emailed to each person.
Okay, so each person does have who would be their liaison for like questions, assessment peer corps, whatever it is. And just an FYI, if you ask me something and I don't know, and that's probably going to happen more than once, then I go to Eric, I go to Pam, I go to Jeff, I go to Michelle, okay? I go to Mary. We have each other then, different committees, and of course, we'll ask each other. So there may be times that when, we're all learning as we go, and it's kind of fun to see where this is going to end up. like at the end of the year, where we're gonna be with this.
He may say, we will get back to you. And
Oh,
it's up to us, and it's up to us to actually do that and not just have that be a brush off line.
No, because
We will try to really get back to
we
you.
will.
We may not know the answer right away.
There's a good chance.
Yeah.
No, and I said, when we're at our committee, different committee meetings, honestly, we do, it's like somebody asked this, somebody asked that. And we are all interested in then giving everybody the same information. So that, you know, it's like, well, that's not what she told me, or we're trying. Okay, that's it. And probably the video.
Yeah,
I always forget I'm being videoed.